This video is to go through your homework for academic. This is for the academic IELTS reading homework. So let's start. Question 1. Alright, so you are basically matching information. The following information is in which paragraph, basically, they're asking you, okay? So, a description of an early timekeeping invention affected by cold temperatures. This is basically in paragraph D, all right? It says, let's go back to the question again. A description of an early timekeeping invention affected by cold temperatures. Okay, so some of the keywords here, basically affected by cold temperatures is definitely something that's key. So you don't expect cold temperatures, the word or the phrase cold temperatures, to be in the passage. There are many ways of describing that it's affected by cold temperatures, all right? And basically this answer is here. Although these devices performed satisfactorily around the Mediterranean, they could not always be depended on, okay? If they could not be depended on, it means basically they're affected by something, okay? So they could not always be depended on in the cloudy and often freezing weather of Northern Europe. So cold temperatures, cloudy and freezing weather, they could not be depended on during this kind of weather, and therefore it basically means that it's affected, okay? Whatever this early timekeeping invention is, it is affected by cold temperatures. So 1 is D. 2, an explanation of the importance of geography in the development of the calendar in farming communities, right? This will be in B. An explanation of the importance of geography. So geography has a part to play in the development of the calendar in farming communities. So farming communities, geography, okay, I think these are two key points that you want to look out for. And there's probably going to be some kind of, there's a reason why they put in farming communities. There has to be there somewhere, all right? Again, it's not most likely you're not going to see the word and the phrase farming communities there. So there are different ways of explaining that this is happening in farming communities, okay? Paraphrases, synonyms. So let's go to 2. The answer is in B. So basically, okay. All right, so 2 keywords, 2 key points: farming communities and importance of geography. What is geography? Geography is basically the study of the earth, the physical features, where it's at, etc. Okay, so if you go to B, firstly, where is the synonym or the paraphrase for farming communities? Agriculture. All right, when you talk about farming, you're talking about agriculture, right? So again, this is a synonym. You have to understand that, as I mentioned, every single part, not every single part, but the key points are definitely going to be somewhere in the text. So straight away, as I look at this question, I look at farming communities. I know that somewhere there's going to be something about farming, okay? So there's agriculture. And importance of geography. If you talk about the equator, whether a place is near the equator, you talk about lower latitudes, these are all geographical terms. It talks about the earth, about the location, the physical features, etc. So if you understand that these are geographical terms, that they are referencing geography, then you understand that this is basically what the question is talking about, the importance of geography. That means geography affects this way of this calendar, okay? So if you read this, for those living near the equator, blah, 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 calendars that were developed at lower latitudes were influenced more by the lunar cycle than than by the solar year. In more northern climes, however, where seasonal agriculture was practiced, the solar year became more crucial. So one is more crucial at lower latitudes, and then at lower latitudes it was influenced more by the lunar cycle. In northern climes at higher latitudes, the solar year was more crucial. Okay. Next, a description of the origins of the pendulum clock. So keywords: origins. What does origins means? The beginning, okay, when it started, and of course the pendulum clock is a pendulum clock. If you're not sure what that means, just go and Google it and look at the image, and that basically you'll see a pendulum clock. So number 3, it's going to be in paragraph F, right? So it's a description of the origin, so when it began. Okay, so by the 16th century, a pendulum clock had been devised. Okay, then it goes on to talk about certain aspects of the pendulum clock here, but you're talking about the origins, the beginning. Okay, so this is when it was really pretty much invented. Okay, all right, so that will be F and not G. 4. Details of the simultaneous efforts of different societies to calculate time using uniform hours. Okay, simultaneous means at the same time. So of different societies. So different societies at the same time, not different time periods, but at the same time, they tried to calculate time using uniform. What is uniform? Equal. Okay, that means hours are equal, right? So basically equal hours, same hours that are time that is similar in length. Okay, all right. Simultaneous is a keyword. Okay, you have different societies, so but at the same time, and uniform hours. All right, and the answer is in E. Right. So if you read through this whole paragraph, you will see that there were different. Let's have a look. A number of systems evolved. The schemes that divided into 24 equal parts. Okay, all right. So 24 equal parts. Uniform hours. And then you talked about. It mentions the Italian, the Babylonian. In Germany, in France, the French hours. Okay, so here you basically see. So all this began. With these, however, arose the question of when to begin counting. And so in the early 14th century, a number of systems evolved. So this all happened at the same time. In the early 14th century, you had all these different societies calculating time using uniform hours. Okay, equal. Uniform means equal. All right, so you have all this information. All the keywords are all mentioned here. Okay, so this is basically E. Let's go to 5. Look at they devised the civil calendar in which so this, just going back to question 1 to 4, this is matching information, and as you can see, the answers being D, B, F, and E. Of course, it's not in order, and it's not going to be in order. If not, it'll be too easy. Okay, 5 to 8. Basically, this is called matching features. Again, the same thing. It's not going to be in order. All right. So you're not matching with the paragraphs. You're matching with here the list of nationalities. Okay. So they devised one thing to note about this. Sometimes they have list of nationalities. Sometimes they have list of people. The names of people. And again, when you have the names of people, that's an easy keyword. So you go through your all this, and you can look at all the names of the people with capital letters, of course. So it gets quite easy. So for example, if this is the name of a person, that's another name of another person. If you want to know whether it is 5 is related to this person, then all you gotta do is go to this reading text and find the person's name, and then basically it's the information given. Does it match question 5? Okay, so the same thing, we don't have people's names, but we have Babylonians, Egyptians. So even just now, Babylonian, we came across Babylonia. Okay, Babylonian hours. Okay, maybe there are other Babylonian words. Okay, Babylonian here. Okay, so Egyptian. All right. So okay, they devised a civil calendar in which the months were equal in length. Okay, so some keywords: civil calendar, months equal in length. Okay, the answer is B, Egyptian. All right. So we gotta find. Let's look at first where Egyptian. There's one Egyptian. Okay, here, right? Okay, they're probably throughout this passage. Maybe there are other instances of the word Egyptian. I'm not sure. Okay, but at least that is there. Where is it? It's Egyptians had formulated a municipal calendar having 12 months or 30 days. Let's go back to the question. Devise a civil calendar in which the months were equal. Now, 12 months or 30 days each month, the months were equal. Civil calendar. What is civil? Okay, civil means local. Okay, of the community. Okay, and which has a pretty similar meaning to municipal. Where is it? Okay, so if you are, again, you need to understand the meanings of different words, and as I mentioned, IELTS reading is in a sense a test of your vocabulary. So if you know that civil and municipal have the same meaning, then this is a clue. And then you see 12 months of 30 days, which again describes months which were equal in length. Okay, so B, right? 5B. They divided the day into two equal halves. 6 is going to be F, French. Okay, the French people. Where does it talk about two equal halves? All right, two equal halves. French. Let me look at where the French is. The word French. All right, we've actually gone through this before. French hours, which split the day into two 12-hour periods, so two equal halves. Okay, split the day into two. You see all the paraphrases. Split, you don't, which is a synonym for divide. Two equal halves, two 12 hours, 12-hour periods. Okay. So that would be F. For 6, they developed a new cabinet shape for a type of timekeeper. So, new cabinet shape. Now, it's all about a shape they develop for a type of timekeeper, something that keeps time. Excuse me. Okay, this is found. Firstly, this is the English. Okay, and so it's basically in paragraph G, right? You have England. Maybe you don't have to have the word English, but at least you know people from England are called English. And this invention allowed the development of a new floor standing case design, which became known as the grandfather clock. If you're not sure about the grandfather clock, again, go back to go to Google, go to images.google.com and click in grandfather clock. I guess that is common in the Western world. I'm not sure if it's common in other parts of the world, but anyway, it was invented in England. So, development of a new floor standing case design. Develop a new cabinet shape. Okay, so this is the design. Shape and design, synonyms. Okay, and of course, type of timekeeper. Yeah, this is basically to keep time, right? Okay, grandfather clock. Okay, so that will be the English. 7 will be D. Finally, 8, they created a calendar to organize public events and work schedules. They created a calendar to organize public events and work schedules. And the answer is the Babylonians. All right. Okay. Public events and work schedules. Okay, so these are the keywords. In the section where you find the Babylonians, you're going to find something related to that, paraphrases or synonyms of that. Okay, so 8 is going to be A. Let's go to the passage right now, which is in A, paragraph A. All right, they create a calendar. Okay, they base introducing calendars to coordinate communal activities, public events, communal activities is a paraphrase for public events. Now there needs to be something related to work schedules, right? To plan the shipment of goods, and in particular to regulate planting and harvesting. So this is talking about work schedules. Okay, all right. So the calendar did not just organize public events but also work schedules, regulate planting and harvesting. These are the work that they did. Okay, all right, so let's go to 9 to 13. This is basically a summary, okay, of a one part of the passage. So if you get something like that, even though it may not be totally in order, you will expect it to be in one part of the passage. All right, so questions 9 to 13 would be in one part of the passage, and basically that's going to be in paragraph G. Right, to address this, let's go to paragraph G. So what is 9? Escapement resembling, okay, basically it's all going, I think it's all going to be here. Okay, so variation of on the original escapement was invented. It was called anchor shaped. It was called the anchor escapement, which was a lever-based device shaped like. Okay, do you see this? Resembling. What is resemble again? A test of your understanding of different words and the meaning of different words. Resemble, resembling. The verb resemble means to look like. So when it says shaped like a ship's anchor now. So it should be a ship's anchor. Now let's have a look at the instructions. No more than 2 words. So there's no way you can put a ship's anchor. Okay. So IELTS will probably, allow for different kinds of variations in terms of the answers, but you can't put a ship's anchor because that's 3 words. You only have 2 words. So you could put ship's anchor. You could put an anchor. All right. Let's have the words. G, resembling. Well, yeah, you wouldn't put a anchor, right? Because a anchor here is a vowel sound. Okay, so you can put an anchor. Now this is normally I mentioned that you can't really change the words. Okay, but you want to take directly from the text. But in this case, cases like this is probably okay. All right, because you can't put a ship's anchor because that's 3 words. So you want to put 2 words. The best is probably just ship's anchor. But if you want to put a anchor, you can't put a anchor. You put an anchor, an. Okay, so next, the what? Okay, so what is this thing? The answer for this is the motion of a pendulum rocks this device so that it catches and then releases each tooth of the escape wheel. Catches, you see these 2 parts? Catches and releases each tooth of the escape wheel. Each tooth, this is 1 tooth of this whole thing will be called then the escape wheel. Okay, right? And what is this? This is a tooth. Right? Okay, so just based on these few sentences, you have 3 answers already. Okay? Tooth, escape wheel. Okay, so you should understand that this is a tooth. Okay, I mean, not a tooth in the sense that you're, in your mouth, but this is what you would still call it. Right? So you have 12 and 13. A what which beats each what? So this is describing something that comes all the way here. Okay? Moreover, the invention allowed the use of a long, this is a long thing, right? A long pendulum which could beat once a second. So a long pendulum, you can put long pendulum or you can put pendulum, okay? Which beats each meaning already once, right? Each what? You don't put each once a second. Firstly, you only have 2 words. So you can't put once a second. It beats each second. Okay? Each second means once a second. It has the same meaning. So you don't put each once a second. You don't put each a second. You put each second. Right? So a long pendulum or just a pendulum which beats each second. Okay? So that is the first passage. Let's go to passage 2. Alright? So passage 2, you have a list of headings. Again, this is another thing that is not going to be in order. Just now in passage 1, you had the first kind of question you had was matching information. Then after that, it was matching features. Both of them are not in order. This one also is not in order, but it's all in one section. And so it was pretty easy. It was all in paragraph G. Okay, it was almost in order. I mean, the only thing that wasn't in order is 10 and 11. Okay, but it's all in one section, so it was pretty easy. Okay, this is a list of headings. So again, it's not going to be in order. So this is actually a pretty difficult test in a sense because you have so many. You have a few question types which are already not in order. So yeah. Okay. So let's go to question 14. All right. Paragraph A. Now paragraph B is already done for you. So, you can cancel X out. Okay, let's go to paragraph A. Paragraph A, the answer is going to be 2. Aviation disaster prompts action. So here the keyword is disaster. Some kind of disaster. Prompts means it results in something. It causes something to happen. Okay, and some disaster caused some action to happen. All right. This is in paragraph A. Okay, because let's go to passage 2. So an accident, okay, there you go, disaster, accident, synonyms, resulted in the establishment, that is the action. Something happened, the establishment of the Federal Aviation Administration, okay? Paragraph B is given. Paragraph C, the answer will be 3, 2 coincidental developments, okay? So paragraph C, here it talks about the 2 coincidental. What is coincidental? I mean, it just so happened to be. It's not like this development resulted in the other development. It just happened at that time. It was a coincidence. Okay, again, you have to understand the meaning of coincidence. And two developments basically means that some event occurred. Okay. Okay, so what are the 2 coincidental events here? Okay, there are a lot of events here, but remember, coincidental is something that was not planned. Okay, it just happened. All right. So you have that paraphrase of this, or the synonym of coincidental here. Fortuitous. Okay, meaning this was, in a sense, lucky. It just happened by chance. It was not something planned. Okay, so it was only after the creation of the FAA that full-scale regulation of America's airspace took place, and this was fortuitous, for the advent of the jet engine suddenly resulted in a very large number, of very fast planes. Okay, so you have the 2 developments being probably the creation of the FAA that full-scale regulation. Okay, probably the creation of the FAA, that full-scale regulation of America's airspace took place, and then so this was a coincidental event, and then the advent of the jet engine resulting in a large number of very fast planes. Okay. Next. Paragraph D, the answer will be 5, an oversimplified view. Okay, oversimplified. It's, you think, you make it seem so simple. All right, it's actually more complicated than that. And the answer would be that's in paragraph D. The answer is oversimplified view. So let's see paragraph D. Many people think that blah blah blah. Many people think this is a very incomplete part of the picture. Okay, so this is your opinion, your view is not complete. It's too simple. It's not complex enough. I mean, you can't just think that ATC consists of a row of controllers sitting in front of their radar screens at the nation's airport, telling arriving and departing traffic what to do. Okay, so this is an incomplete part. Again, the synonym, the paraphrase here, incomplete part of the picture. And paragraph E, the answer will be setting altitude zones. All right. So altitude is the height. Okay. It's the zones. Okay. So basically here, to meet this challenge, in general from 365 meters above, blah blah blah, is blanketed by controlled airspace. In certain areas near, mainly near airports, controlled airspace extends down to 215 meters above ground. Okay, so you can see that they are creating zones. This is in this area above this height. This is this zone, that zone, controlled, uncontrolled, etc., etc. Okay, so that is basically setting rules and regulations regarding the zones according to different altitude, right? And where are we now? That's paragraph E. So paragraph F, the answer would be 8, setting rules to weather conditions. All right. So rules to weather conditions. So does it talk about weather condition? Meteorological conditions. Weather. Okay, that's the synonym for weather. Weather as in WEATHER. Okay, whether it's rainy, whether it's this, whether it's sunny, etc., etc., whether it's clear, whether it's not clear. Okay, so 2 types of operating environments. In good meteorological conditions, flying will be permitted under the visual flight rules. And poor visibility. Okay, so if the conditions is not too good, the weather is not too good because you are not able to see much, poor visibility, then blah blah blah, necessitated a set of instrumental flight rules. Okay, so there you have it, setting rules again to weather conditions. Just now it was talking about according to altitude, different heights, you have different zones. Here you're setting rules according to weather conditions, and the weather conditions basically is talking about whether it's clear, whether it's visible, okay, whether it is not visible, etc. Right? And G, the last paragraph here would be 7, defining airspace categories. Okay, so here categories, you have categories, class, category A, B, C, D, E, class A, B, C, D, E, etc. Okay, class and category has pretty much the same meaning. Okay, so again, it's dividing it into different zones, okay, and different categories, because here you have category A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so that is it. Next question, still in the same passage. True, false, or not given. Okay, so this, as mentioned, it should be, all right, it should be in order. Like I said before, sometimes it's in order. I mean, when it should be in order, and based on the different kinds of questions, true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, pretty much it should be in order. But of course, there could be 1 or 2 that it's not really in order, but generally it should be in order. Okay, so 20, the FAA was created as a result of the introduction of the jet engine. Okay, The FAA. FAA, what was the cause of the creation of this FAA? An accident occurred, resulted in the, so this accident resulted in the FAA. Was it a result of the introduction of the jet engine? No. Very clearly it says that the accident resulted in the establishment of the FAA. So this is clearly false. Okay, can't be not given, because it can't be two things resulting in the creation of an FAA. All right, most likely it's not going to be two things. It's most likely going to be one thing. And if it's the accident that resulted in the creation of the FAA, then it's not possible that this is also true. Okay, so it's false. Air traffic control started after the Grand Canyon crash in 1956. Air traffic control, all right, existed well before. So if it existed before, it can't exist after, right? Okay. So this is the Grand Canyon crash. Here is talking about the disaster. Okay, this disaster. Okay, so ATC did not start after this crash. Okay, so it's false. Okay, and as you can see, we are going in order, right? Next, beacons and flashing lights are still used by ATC today. All right. All right, so what does it talk about beacons and flashing lights? Okay, ATC existed well before this disaster. As early as the 1920s, the earliest air traffic controllers manually guided aircraft in the vicinity of airports using lights and flags, while beacons and flashing lights were placed along cross-country routes to establish the earliest airways. Okay, now, however, this purely visual system was useless in bad weather, and by 1930s, radio communication was coming into use. Now, so it does seem to say that this purely visual system was useless in bad weather. Okay, and then it says that the radio communication was coming to use. Now, the question is this, and be very clear about this: beacons and flashing lights are still used by ATC today. Now, firstly, is it true, is it false, or is it not given? All right. Firstly, is it true? Does it say anything that yes, it's used? No. Okay. It says that it was used before. It says that people are using radio communication. All right. At least by 1930s. But does it say that it is not used? Okay. Well, does it say it is used or it is not used? Sorry, let me correct myself. I'm not sure if I said, is it used? Is it used today? Is it not used today? Does it say? Actually, it doesn't. All right. It doesn't say that it's used. It doesn't say it's not used. Now, if it doesn't say it's not used, then you can't put false. Okay? Because not given, the answer is not given. Not given is when it's possibly true, it's possibly false. And that's what it is. It's possibly true and it's possibly false. You can't find out. You can't find out through this passage. It does hint at a direction, but if radio is being used, does it mean that radio is only being used? Perhaps most of the time, radio is used, but all of the time radio is used, and that is very important, but it doesn't mean that beacons and flashing lights are not used anymore. Okay, so you don't know basically through this. It is not very clear whether it is still used or it is not used. Okay, all it mentions is that radio is the main way, but it's still possible that it could be used. It's possible that as in beacons and flashing lights are still used nowadays. It's possible that it's not used. It doesn't mention, so it's not given. Next question. Some improvements were made in radio communication during World War II. Okay, some improvements were made in radio communication during World War II. And the answer, let's talk about during World War II. Okay, in 1940s, ATC blah 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 did take advantage of the newly developed radio and improved radar and improved radio communication brought about by the Second World War. So brought about, that means this improved radar and improved radio communication was a result of World War II. If that's the case, the question is, some improvements were made in radio communication during World War II. The answer would be yes. Okay, World War II caused some improvements in radio communication, right? Now, Class F airspace is airspace which is below 365 meters and not near airports. This is a question that some students get very confused, okay? Class F airspace, okay, is... Now, you actually have to go to a few parts to understand this. Class F airspace, and I'll give you the answers first. The answer is true, okay? Class F airspace is airspace which is below 365 meters, all right? So, below 365 meters, not near airport. Is that true? Class F. Okay, firstly, let's go to G, where it talks about Class F airspace. Okay, uncontrolled airspace. So it says here, uncontrolled airspace is Class F. So this one is uncontrolled airspace below 300 meters and not near the airport. Okay, so we've already equated Class F with uncontrolled airspace. Okay, then going back to E, all right, in general, from 365 meters above the ground and high, the entire country is blanketed by controlled airspace. All right. In certain areas, mainly near airports, okay, this is not near airports, controlled airspace extends down. So basically, it says here, near airports, controlled airspace 250 meters. Above, okay, 200 meters and above, right? This is for controlled airspace for near airports, but here you're talking about not near airports. So, extends down. Okay, so how about if it's not near airport, not near the airports? Okay, so if it's not near, controlled airspace is not near airports. Controlled airspace is 365 meters and above. Okay? So what happens? Alright? What happens to... This is not near airport. So here we're talking about this. Okay? So let's go back to the question. Class F airspace, which is uncontrolled airspace, is airspace which is below 365 and not near. So 365 meters and above is controlled. So what does it mean? This is not near airports, okay? So if it's below 365 meters, it is uncontrolled. All right? So that's why it's true. Okay, it's a bit difficult in the sense that you need to look at different parts and kind of like bring both parts together to really understand what they're talking about and to see whether it's true or false. Okay, all aircraft in Class E airspace must use IFR. Okay, all aircrafts in Class E airspace must use IFR, and that is false. G. The difference between Class E and A airspace is that in Class A, all operations are IFR. Now, what is IFR? IFR is, let's have a look at what that is. Instrumental flight. You must use instrumental flight rules. Okay, so that the difference between Class E and A is that Class A, all operations have to use IFR. Okay, so if all aircraft in Class E must use IFR, no, it says in A. So if A, you need to use IFR, then E, you don't need. So here says E, you need. No, so that's false. Okay. Now, some students may ask, well, it doesn't say it is false. It doesn't say that you can't. It just says that Class A, you need to use IFR. It doesn't say that Class E, you don't need to use. But the sentence is the difference. So if you're talking about the difference, then you're actually saying that this is the difference. Okay, Class A, you have to use. Class E, you don't have to use IFR. Okay, so that's false. And lastly, and you see that we are still in order, right? Okay, now lastly, if IELTS is still going to make this in order, then 26 is going to be somewhere here, because if 25 the answer is here, then 26 has to be just these the last 7 or 10 or so lines that has to give us the answer to question 26. Okay, a pilot entering Class C airspace is flying over an average size city. All right, so it's the answer here. Okay, right below the answer to question 25. A pilot entering Class C airspace is flying over an average size city. Okay, so the answer here, okay, is true. All right, and 3 other types of airspace, D, C, and B, govern the vicinity of airports. These correspond roughly to small, medium, and major. Okay, so a pilot entering Class C airspace is flying an average size. Average would be medium, right? So Class C. This is D would be small, C would be medium, and B would be major. Okay, so C. All right, so that is true. All right, passage 3. All right, so questions 27 to 40. So here, what kind of questions we have? Reports. This is the match sentence endings. All right, and then you have this kind of table summary. Okay, so it's going to be a one section of the most of the time it's going to be a one section of the text, but at least this is going to be one section, this is going to be another section. Okay, all right. So question 27, you're going to match with A to G. Researchers with differing attitudes towards telepathy agree on. Okay, remember, it should be, okay, again, it should be, but it's not always 100% the case. All right, and in this scenario, you in this actual 4-question series, you will see that it's not so, but it should be generally sentence endings. Okay, you're matching the sentence endings. It's going to be in order. Okay, but here you see that one is not really in order. Okay, now researchers with differing attitudes towards telepathy agree on. The answer is going to be agree on E, the significance of the Gansfeld experiments. Okay, 27. Here we go to the second paragraph. It's not labeled, but here. All right, skeptics and advocates. Okay, you see differing attitudes towards telepathy. Okay, so you're talking about people who are skeptical and people who advocate telepathy. So agree. What do they agree on? Do concur. Okay, concur means agree. Do you see again the role of vocabulary? If you don't know what skeptic or septic both are words which have the same meaning. Okay, different spelling. And advocates, if you don't know what these words means and you don't know what this concur means, which means agree, then you won't be able to understand that this is basically giving you the answer to this sentence here. Okay, concur on one issue, however, the most impressive evidence so far has come from the so-called Ganzfeld experiment. Okay, so the significance means the importance of the Ganzfeld experiments. Okay, so they agree on that, the importance of it. All right. 28, the answer is going to be B. Reports of experiences during meditation indicated the need to create a suitable environment for telepathy. All right. And 28, the answer is basically at the bottom of this paragraph. Experiences during meditation. You talk here about meditation. It mentions meditation here. Okay. Now, involve signals passing between people that were so faint that they were usually swarmed by normal brain. In this case, such signals might be more easily detected by those experiencing meditation-like tranquility in a relaxing whole field of light, sound, and warmth. Now, reports of experiences during meditation indicate the need to create a suitable environment for telepathy. So this is basically what is the result of all the experiments, that there is a need, such signals, okay, which they want to measure, okay, might be more easily detected by those experiencing meditation-like tranquility in a relaxing whole field of light, sound, and warmth. So there's that need to create suitable environment for this is the suitable environment, the environment of a relaxing whole field of light, sound, and warmth. Okay. Attitudes to parapsychology will alter drastically. Now this is where it kind of like goes a bit off in terms of the order. Okay. Here the answer basically is in this paragraph, so it kind of skips a lot. Attitudes to parapsychology will alter drastically with 29A, the discovery of a mechanism for telepathy. The discovery of a mechanism. Now, so how are you going to change the attitudes to parapsychology if you discover a mechanism for telepathy? Now, see, what they are certainly not finding, however, is any change in attitude of mainstream scientists. So the attitude is not changing. Most still totally reject the very idea of telepathy. The problem stems at least in part from the lack of any plausible mechanism for telepathy. So the reason why scientists are still rejecting telepathy is because of the lack of any plausible mechanism. If that's so, attitudes would drastically change if there's a discovery of a mechanism for telepathy. Okay, and lastly, 30. All right, 30. Recent Otto Ganzfeld trial suggests that success rates will improve with. Actually, I was wrong just now. I mentioned that it is not in order. All right. Just now I mentioned that one was out of order. Actually, that's not true. Okay, so whatever I mentioned about this kind of question, which is matching sentence endings, is in order, is actually true here. There's no one particular question which is out of order. Okay, so it's actually in order. So far the beginning two questions we found it from around here, and then after that we found the third question, the answer is here, and the last question is actually here. Okay, so it is in order. Okay, so that's good news that there isn't a lot of it is in order, and you're not going to find many questions which are out of order when they should be in order. Okay, so recent Otto Ganzfeld trial suggests that success rates will improve with F, a more careful selection of subjects. So success rates will improve with a more careful selection of subjects. Okay, so it's here basically. All right, this is Otto Ganzfeld. Okay, so where is Otto Ganzfeld? some work has begun already with researchers trying to identify people who are particularly successful in Otto Gansfeld trials. Early results show that creative and artistic people do much better than average. Okay, so perhaps more tests like this will eventually give the researchers evidence they are seeking to strengthen. Now, so what suggests that success rates will improve with a more careful selection of subjects, because who are the successful subjects? Creative and artistic people. So if you carefully select such people, then their success rates will improve. Okay, so let's go to this. 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 is going to it relates to the Gansfeld studies. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. It's going to be one portion, okay? And pretty much, where's the Gansfeld studies here? Around here, the Gansfeld studies up to, the answers is up to here, pretty much. Okay, then after that, you have the Otto Gansfeld studies, which comes, okay, from here onwards. Okay, so it's there around that same portion, and as I mentioned, normally it's in order, not always, but at least it's in the same location. Okay, so the Gansfeld study involve a person acting as a the idea was that a person acting as a sender. Okay, as a sender who picked out one what from a random selection of 4. All right. Basically 4. What is in early Gansfeld experiments, the telepathy test involve identification of a picture chosen from a random selection of 4. Right? So identification of you could put a picture, all right, from 4, right? The idea was that a person will attempt to beam the image, image or picture. So both image or picture, both mean the same thing here, okay? So who picked out an image is one possible answer, or picture, okay, not both of them, but one of them, from a random selection of 4. And what, who then tried to identify it, a what, okay? So the sender picks out an image from a random selection of 4, and basically you have the sender will beam the image over to the receiver, okay, and this person, which means the receiver, was asked to identify, okay, so the receiver. So there you have receiver here. Positive results could be produced by factors such as what and what. Positive results, okay, so actually the answer is here. All right, let's go to the implication. Just because chance had been ruled out, it did not prove telepathy must exist. There were many other ways of getting positive results. These range from sensory leakage. So positive results could be produced by factors such as sensory leakage or outright fraud. These range from sensory leakage to outright fraud. Okay, so sensory leakage or outright fraud, they probably will accept fraud alone, okay, without the outright. Now, Otto Gansfeld studies, what were used for key tasks to limit the amount of what? So we go to here, Otto Gansfeld studies. 36, what were used for key tasks to limit the amount of what in carrying out the test? Okay, use computers. All right, to limit means to make it less, right? Minimizing human involvement. Okay, so computers were used for key tasks to limit the amount of human involvement in carrying out these tasks, the tests. The results were then subjected to all right, the results, what happened to the results? In results from the hundreds of Otto Gansfeld tests was studied by Honiton in a meta-analysis. So results were subjected to a meta-analysis, which is a statistical technique. So it was subjected to this technique for finding the overall results from a set of studies. Okay, so meta-analysis, the what between test results was put down to the fact that sample groups were not what? The what between different test results. Yet some parapsychologists remained disturbed by the lack of consistency. Okay, how many words do you have here? No more than 3 words. So the lack of consistency between different test results was put down to the fact that sample groups were not, the group is just not big enough. Okay, the lack of consistency was due to sample groups not being big enough, as with most Ganzfeld studies. Okay, so not big enough. All right, so that is the end.